I feel like people are hot or cold on the partnership idea. And a lot of people that are going to listen to this podcast or get interested about franchising or real estate, I'm glad we've talked a lot about that on this podcast. We hit the cash requirement or we hit a barrier financially and it stops all progress, right? Well, an answer to solve that hurdle is partnering. Can you dive into as much as you want to share, Eric, but like you told us about how you partnered with your parents on that real estate deal. And then as you kind of formed these, do you have a simple structure for this? Is it always different? Do you have any advice for people that are maybe saying, well, I'd love to start a franchise or I have an access to start a franchise, but don't have the money. And then it stops there, right? Like that didn't stop you. Touch on that a little bit.
I was on I've got the hustle. I've got the ability to take risks. I've got the ability to work a lot of hours. I didn't have the capital. So I needed a capital partner and I wanted to be generous to them. So what I did with my parents, and if they hadn't done it, my real estate broker at the time would have. But I said, you guys put up the $5,000 closing cost, which is I think it was about $5,000. You put that up. When we sell it, I will pay you back 50% of that. So I didn't ask them to put up the whole thing. I said, we'll partner on this thing 50-50. I found the deal. You put up the capital, I'll pay you back. And I wanted this to be a fair deal for everybody. So what I've learned in partnerships, a number of different things, but one is if someone can look at it from multiple perspectives. If I'm looking at it from my perspective, and I'm also looking at it from their perspective as the money partner, the operating partner, I want to be able to see things from their perspective. If they can't do that in return, it's probably the wrong partnership. Because in a partnership, I really think that in a partnership, you create a new entity, this new partnership. Just call it NewCo. So you create the NewCo. And if that partner in that with you is always looking at it from their perspective, I need this tax advantage. I want this. I'm not getting this. I want to make this decision because it benefits me and my family. Then versus thinking, how does this benefit the business? Is this the right thing for this entity that we created? So my thought is if the business partners always look at things as what's healthy for the business, if they were giving that business advice as they were on the board of advisors, that's going to make a good partnership. And you can really kind of sniff out the wrong partners early on because they're just looking at it from their selfish perspective, which you have that selfish perspective, but you also need to look at it from the other perspective. So that's one of the things that I've learned. So we go into this partnership with 4 of us. There's 4 of us total partners in Sola. I found this. I know you had Kim Daly. Kim Daly is a good friend of mine. She helps people find franchises. I started to do that for a while because I wanted to find my next franchise. I just sold. I made a good amount of money and I was ready to start looking at new franchises. And I wanted some inside information, or I wanted to understand it from a broker's perspective. And so I did. And I met these guys, Matt and Stratton. They were the founders of Sola Salon at the time. I'm like, this is super interesting. I started to text my 2 of my future 3 business partners that evening while I was having drinks with Matt and Stratton, the founders. And I just started pounding them with questions. They kept drinking more and I kept asking them more questions. And so I'm like, this is a really interesting one. So, a few months later, we bought the whole Orange County market for Sola Salon Studios with me and these 2 other guys. And then we brought in a 4th guy shortly after that. About a year into it, we'd all exited businesses. We all had money. We all had time. We all did not want to be in the grind, but we found ourselves in the grind. We're like, what are we doing? And we were on a call and we said, what if we each paid, could we find a good partner or a ops person for 120 grand? And the answer was like, yeah, this was 8-9 years ago. Like, yeah, we could find a partner or an ops person for 120 grand. Would we each give up $30,000 or pay $30,000 to not have to be on these conference calls, to not have to be on the calls with the banks and the leasing agents and dealing with all of the employees? And we're like, yeah, we would. So we just shifted our focus. We're like, enough of this. We got in this for lifestyle. Our main focus is finding a killer operating person, a district operational manager. So we went through like a 3-month process and we found him, Mirko. And, we finished up with one of the partners owned the project and finished up with dinner with he and his wife. And we're like, this is the one, this is who we're hiring. And he was phenomenal. And he did everything for us. And we told ourselves, Mirko's too smart. He's too much of a hustler. We need to give him equity or he's just going to do this on his own. And so we're living the life, man, for like 4 years with Sola. We developed a bunch of them. When I say we, it was really Mirko heading this whole thing up. We developed a bunch of these things. He dealt with the banks. He dealt with everything, all the employees. We just showed up once a week for a 1 to 2 hour call. And that was the most passive franchise investment I've ever had. And then we got a call. Mirko sent an email and said, hey, I want to have a conversation with you guys. Are you guys available? We're all texting each other. This is it. He's quitting. He's going to do something else. And sure enough, he's like, hey guys, I'm going to start up some of my own solo salons in Bakersfield. And we're like, we knew it was coming. And, but we had a good relationship with him. And this is important. We had a really good relationship with him. And he said, I'm not going to leave you guys. We're going to have a good transition. And at that point, we decided we were going to sell this to a private equity company and he helped us through that 5-6 month transition to sell it to private equity, which required a lot of work. And he helped us do that. So anyway, we were in the grind, which most franchise owners are in the grind. You have to pull yourself out by hiring an amazing person. And that's probably a few $100,000 a year type position. That's how franchises can be semi-absentee or more absentee. So that's one way. And I've done it some other ways too, but that's the most kind of active, semi-absentee or actively type passive way I've owned a business before.